Welcome back in part 4 of Volkswagen. Anyways, let's continue. Volkswagen is the founding and namesake member of the Volkswagen Group, a large international corporation in charge of multiple car and truck brands, including Audi, Seat, Porsche, Lamborghini, Bentley, Bugatti, Scania, and Skoda.
Volkswagen Group's global headquarters are located in Volkswagen's historic home of Wolfsburg, Germany.
Volkswagen Group, as a unit, is Europe's largest motor vehicle manufacturer, with over 74,000 employees and over 7,700 dealerships.
For a long time, Volkswagen has had a market share over 20%.
In 2010, Volkswagen posted record sales of 6.29 million vehicles, with its global market share at 11.4%.
In 2008, Volkswagen became the third largest car maker in the world, and as of 2016, Volkswagen was the second largest manufacturer worldwide.
In 2018, the company benefited from trade tariffs and new emission standards, with record deliveries of 10.8 million vehicles.
Volkswagen Group's core markets include Germany and China.
In July 2019, Volkswagen invested $2.6 billion in Argo AI, a startup focused on developing self-driving vehicles. Volkswagen has factories in many parts of the world, manufacturing or assembling vehicles for local markets.
In addition to plants in Germany, Volkswagen has manufacturing or assembly facilities in Mexico, the United States, Slovakia, China, India, Russia. Sold to the Russian company Avilon in 2023, Malaysia, Brazil, Argentina, Portugal, Spain, Poland, the Czech Republic, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kenya and South Africa.
In 2011, Volkswagen was named in the top 25 largest companies in the world by the Forbes Global 2000. As of May 2014, Volkswagen was planning to start assembling certain engines in India to increase localization from 70% to 90%. In January 2016, Volkswagen announced the launch of a new factory in Algeria during a summit between Angela Merkel and Algerian Prime Minister Abdelmalek Sall.
The factory was launched in Relizon, producing Volkswagen Golf 7, Volkswagen Polo, Volkswagen Caddy, Seat Ibiza and Skoda Octavia cars.
In the 2021 review of WIPO's annual World Intellectual Property Indicators, VW ranked 6th in the world for its 84 industrial design registrations that were published under the Hague system during 2020.
This position is down on their previous 5th place ranking for 73 industrial design registrations, being published in 2019.
Since 1985, Volkswagen has also run the Volkswagen Auto Museum in Wolfsburg, which is dedicated to the history of the company. With 120,000 employees in Germany, VW is one of the most well-organized and represented companies in the world in Germany.
The role that works councils and IG Metall play is unique even within Germany.
VW workers have some of the strongest collective agreements.
VW has a strong tradition and practice of social partnership and co-determination.
Volkswagen agreed in December 2011 to implement a rule passed by the company's Works Council aimed at improving work-life balance and avoiding burnout by restricting company email functionality on the firm's BlackBerry smartphones to working periods and the half hour before and after working periods.
About 1,150 of Volkswagen's more than 190,000 employees in Germany were affected by the email restriction.
Because of Volkswagen's use of IPPD, a human contact allergen, in various polymers of their vehicles, they have coined the term Volkswagen dermatitis. Workers of the German auto manufacturer Volkswagen Group are collectively organized and represented by unions and works councils across the globe.
Workers are organized on multiple levels, locally, regionally, nationally, internationally, and by mark.
Within Germany, the role of the union IG Metall and Works Councils at Volkswagen is unique, even compared with other large auto firms. Volkswagen workers have some of the strongest organized labor power at any company in the world.
These powers are codified in different collective agreements internationally.
In Germany, collective agreements cover 120,000 workers, almost the entire workforce. Workers at all of its major locations are represented in the Global Works Council and local union bodies.
VW Group has a tradition and practice of social partnership and co-determination rights between management and workers beyond the regulated standards.
VW Group operates 120 plants in 29 countries as of November 2021.
VW Group opened its first foreign plant in Brazil in 1953.
Transnational labor organizing started in the 1970s with German workers and workers at its foreign locations, which were Belgium, Brazil, Mexico, and South Africa.
The German works councils were particularly concerned with the political developments in apartheid South Africa and the military dictatorship in Brazil.
While most of the Volkswagen unions operate on a respective national level, several transnational structures like the VW Global and European Works Councils and the Intersoli Group stretch these connections. A general tension exists between the interests of the workers in the headquarter state, Germany, and foreign states, but workers in foreign states also gain strategic benefits from having closer access to a well-resourced union, IG Metall, and the German Works Councils, with their direct access to central management. From a managerial point of view, countries with limited employee representation, and therefore lower labor costs, have a competitive advantage over countries with strong representation, that is, Germany.
For German VW workers, expanding German best practices globally neutralizes that threat by leveling the playing field.
The International Solidarity Intersoli Working Group of IG Metall Wolfsburg, German, Arbeitskreis Internationale Solidarität der IG Metall Wolfsburg, launched in 1982, with separate working groups focused on Brazil, Mexico, and South Africa.
In February 1999, Intersoli launched the China Working Group.
3 years later, the Central and Eastern Europe Working Group was established in February 2002. Intersoli, in addition to the VW World Group Committee, established in 1979 by the International Metal Workers Federation, facilitates global contact between German union members and workers in foreign operations. With the acquisition of Seat in 1986, VW Group had operations in 3 European states, Germany, Belgium, and Spain.
The German Group Works Council and foreign members of VW Group initiated the formation of a European Works Council.
The first meeting was in 1990, with a signed agreement in 1992, a full 2 years prior to the EU ratification of the European Works Council Directive 94/45/EC. As of 2017, the VW European Works Council has 70 employee representatives. The Volkswagen Group Global Works Council, GWC, also known as the Volkswagen Group World Works Council, was established in 1998.
It was the first global works council of its kind anywhere in the world.
The first president and general secretary of the GWC was Klaus Volkert, the VW European Group and General Works Council chair at the time.
The preamble and provisions of the GWC are copied nearly verbatim from the VW European Works Council agreements, albeit with a different formula accounting for the additional non-European countries.
It consisted of 27 employee representatives, 20 from Europe and 7 from other parts of the world.
It has grown as of 2017 to 100 employee representatives.
In 2002, the VW Group, Global and European Works Council signed the Declaration on Social Rights and Industrial Relationships at Volkswagen, a global framework agreement, GFA, with the International Metalworkers Federation. In 2012, VW Group and the Industrial Global Union signed the Global Framework Agreement, Charter on Temporary Work, for the Volkswagen Group, specifying the terms and conditions of agency workers at VW Group and its subsidiaries.
However, VW Group formally limits the scope of the GFA to countries represented in the Global Works Council, which China is not a member of.
In later years, Chinese temporary workers at FAW Volkswagen posted on social media bylaws from the Charter on Temporary Work as evidence of VW Group's commitment to its temporary workforce. In 2019, Industrial suspended its agreement with VW Group over its refusal to bargain with the United Auto Workers in the United States. Volkswagen Group is organized on multiple levels, locally, regionally, nationally, internationally, and by mark.
The heart of its labor representation is in Wolfsburg, Germany.
Its headquarter plant alone has over 65,000 employees, or half of the total German workforce. Volkswagen Work GmbH, Volkswagen Factory GmbH, was established in Wolfsburg, Germany in 1937 by the German Labor Front, a Nazi organization.
It is estimated by historians that 60 to 70% of the workforce were enslaved or forced labor, including from Arbeitsdorf, a concentration camp specifically built for providing VW with enslaved labor.
Workers were subject to racialized hierarchies when it came to housing, nutrition, and treatment, with Soviet prisoners of war, Poles, and Eastern workers on the bottom of the hierarchy. In July 1945, with pressure from Social Democrats and Communists, a Provisional Works Council, German, Betriebswirtschaft and Literature, factory representation, was authorized by the British occupying power.
It was expressly forbidden for the Works Council to discuss politics or practice co-determination.
However, it had informational and discussion rights.
By November 1945, the first democratically elected Works Council was voted in.
Given Volkswagen's origins and the political climate after the end of World War II, British Major Ivan Hurst was tasked with the unification of Volkswagen in the autumn of 1945, which initially applied solely to VW management on a limited scale.
In January 1946, Hurst declared the denazification process as complete, to the dismay of the Works Council and the General Union.
228 mid to lower level managers were selected for dismissal due to their alleged Nazi associations in June 1946.
1 year later, the Works Council still had very limited co-determination rights, particularly when it came to reinstating dismissed Nazi sympathizers.
In 1947, the provisions of the Control Council Act No. 22 were applied to VW, which notably included co-determination rights over hiring, firing, and transfer of employees. In addition to the infighting between the Social Democrats, SPD, and the Communists, KPD, far-right-wing union opposition candidates from the German Right Party, DRP, Deutsche Party, ran for the first time in 1948.
In the following 1949 Works Council elections, due to the political climate, DRP won 70% of the Wolfsburg City Council election in 1948. And a workforce composed of Wehrmacht officers, freed soldiers and German refugees from the East, the two leading unions IG Metall and German Salaried Employees Union reserved 6 spots in their Works Council election lists for right-wing candidates as a strategy of neutralizing the opposition.
The transfer of Volkswagen by the British authorities to the governments of Lower Saxony and the newly formed West German government in 1949 completed its transfer of ownership to Germany.
IG Metall became the dominant union force in VW 1 year later, coinciding with a German period of economic miracles.
In the VW Group's supervisory board, IG Metall and the VW Group Works Council can appoint 10 employee representative seats, with the other 10 seats filled by the employer.
Within the 10 employee representative seats, 7 are reserved for VW Group employees, including 1 managerial employee, and the remaining 3 are reserved for union representatives. That is, IG Metall, including its president Georg Hoffmann.
Typically, the chair of the supervisory board, from the employer side, has 2 votes, tipping the supervisory board towards the employer side.
However, in the case of VW, on the employer side, Lower Saxony State holds 2 seats, which are currently filled by politicians Stefan Weil and Bernd Alfesman.
When Social Democrat politicians fill the employer seats, it contributes to a labor-friendly supervisory board. A provision in the 1960 Volkswagen Act that privatized Volkswagen Work GmbH into Volkswagen Group AG Aktiengesellschaft stipulates 80% of shareholders are needed to pass any major decisions.
Lower Saxony State has a voting share of 20.2%, ensuring a veto power on any major decisions.
Due to this veto power, the German Employers Association precludes VW Group from membership or concluding sectoral agreements within any regional branches of the Employers Associations in the metal and electrical engineering industries, Gesamtmetall.
Unlike its automotive competitors BMW or Daimler who have regional agreements, this means IG Metall negotiates directly with Volkswagen Group instead of an employer association.
The Volkswagen in-house collective agreements are some of the strongest collective agreements in Germany.
The 2021 collective agreement applies to 120,000 VW workers in the following 6 plants: Wolfsburg, Braunschweig, Hanover, Salzgitter, Emden and Kassel, as well as Volkswagen Financial Services.
The chair of the Global European Group, General and Local Wolfsburg Works Council is Daniela Cavallo.
She was elected in the Wolfsburg Works Council election in March 2022, the headquarter plant.
The IG Metall list 166 out of 73 Works Council seats.
Cavallo first served as the chair in May 2021 when she was appointed to succeed Bernd Osterloh.
She is the first woman chair at VW Group and is arguably the most powerful employee representative in all of Germany. During the 2018 Wolfsburg Works Council election, 86% of employees voted for the IG Metall list for 66 out of 75 Works Council seats, with only 2 other lists competing.
A network of 2,500 rank-and-file IG metal union representatives, organized internally by the Union Representative Steering Committee of VW. German Vertrauenskorporaten VW ensure the IG Metal-backed Works Council has extensive influence and reach in the workplace.
Additionally, VW Group pays for 70 administrative personnel to assist the Works Councils in performing their duties. Volkswagen de Brazil, VW Brazil, was established on 23 March 1953 to reassemble Beetle cars in a growing market.
It was Brazil's first German automobile plant and VW's first foreign factory.
In the 1960s, VW Brazil was VW Group's largest foreign member and Brazil's fifth largest industrial firm.
From 1960 to the 1970s, its workforce increased from 7,000 employees to over 40,000.
Union activity in VW Brazil was heavily repressed until the 1980s.
In the 2014 National Truth Commission, the extent to which VW Brazil management collaborated with the Brazilian military dictatorship was revealed.
VW Group commissioned a year-long study in 2016 by historian Christopher Copper to uncover the extent to which VW Group participated and collaborated in repression of its employees.
In 2020, VW Group agreed to pay €5.5 million, part of which will go to Heinrich Plague Victims Association and the rest going towards various research and human rights projects.
While VW Brazil was not directly involved with the 1964 military overthrow of the Brazilian government, as a significant financial contributor to the Industrial Association of Sao Paulo, FIESP, which wielded political influence and was in favor of regime change, VW Brazil CEO Friedrich Schultzling was most likely in favor as well.
Wing not only justified the violence and repression against communists, PCP, and union leaders, but in a letter to VW Group CEO Heinrich Nordhoff, Wing stated, "What is currently taking place is a hunt such as we did not even see that in 1933 in Germany, a nod to the Nazi rise to power in Germany, which was stated in awe and respect rather than war."
Nordhoff did not share the same enthusiasm, not because of concern for human rights, but because of the negative impact the political instability might have on VW Brazil.
Lower Saxony State had 50% ownership of VW Group but did not interfere with VW Brazil throughout.
Management at VW Group and VW Brazil both benefited from and saw the military dictatorship in a positive light. Labor laws, established during the Vargas dictatorship, 1937 to 1945, were already weak and they remained in place during the democratic phase, 1946 to 1964, for example. Collective agreements could only be approved by the Ministry of Labor, and the establishment of a Federal Metal Workers Union was forbidden in favor of regional federations.
Labor laws were further weakened in June 1964 with the Strike Act, Ligue Greve, which criminalized striking with prison sentences of 6 to 12 months for strike leaders.
Since 1969 there was collaboration between VW Brazil's Internal Works Security Department, Portuguese, Departamento de Segurança Industria, and the Brazilian Political Police, DEOPS. Brazilian Portuguese, Departamento Estadual de Ordem Política e Social.
It was headed by Brazilian Army Officer Major Ademar Rush.
Their collaboration led to the arrests and torture of at least 12 employees of VW Brazil, including Communist Party of Brazil member Lucio Galantani, who described his arrest to the Brazil National Truth Commission, with numerous more being blacklisted.
By 1973, for every 79 VW Brazil employees, there was one member of the Works Security Department, enabling a deeply surveilled workplace.
It was only in 1975 that the General Works Council of Volkswagen Group began to investigate the working conditions in Brazil.
A 1976 delegation including the Works Council Chair Siegfried Ehlers met with a local affiliate of the São Bernardo do Campo Metalworkers Union, facilitated by the International Metalworkers Federation.
After hearing serious allegation of wage dispersion, surveillance of workers and ban on union assemblies, the delegation asked to meet with the VW Brazil union representatives directly.
To the delegation's surprise, the representatives denied the allegations made by the local metalworkers union.
There were no legitimate employee representatives from, and up to 1977, the few existing union representatives were politicos more closely associated with the company than the workers.
Before 1980, the only legitimate contacts available to the German Works Council was the local São Bernardo do Campo Union Committee.
Additionally, they had communication channels through the International Metalworkers Federation and the International Relations Department of the IG Metal. By 1979, due to pressure from the German media and the employee representatives on Volkswagen Group's supervisory board, VW Group was forced to change from being a passive beneficiary of the military dictatorship to an agent of change.
In October 1980, VW Brazil became the first major company in Brazil to have employee representation, a works council, even though it was not required by law.
Skoda Auto AS employed 37,000 employees in Czechia across 3 plants in Lada Boleslav, Gvazny and Wrocław.
Employees of Skoda are unionized in the Metal Workers Union, Czech, Odbory Svazkovo, Ostkovo, affiliated to the CMKOS.
The regional affiliate of the union, Knovo MD, is chaired by Jaroslav Pavsik.
Pavsik is also on the supervisory board of Skoda.
Volkswagen Group China has operated since 1984 in China, with the establishment of joint venture SAIC Volkswagen, followed by FAW Volkswagen in 1991 and JAC in 2017.
Independent unions in China are banned, with the All China Federation of Trade Unions, ACFTU, being the only permanent one.
80% of VW China's 23,000 employees are unionized and include a works council structure. In February 1999, Intersoli launched the China Working Group, in part to address the numerous human rights issues in China and limited union democracy.
In 2010, for the first time, China was present in the Global Works Council meeting.
In 2016, Chinese legislation regarding temporary work expired.
Temporary workers of the Shenzhen FAW Volkswagen, FAW VW, plant sought collective bargaining with ACFTU. FAW VW and temporary agencies to represent 3,000 agency workers.
Workers argued their working conditions not only breached Chinese labor law, but also Volkswagen's Global Framework Agreement, Charter on Temporary Work. Temporary worker demands included equal pay between them and regular employees of FAW VW, a conversion of temporary contracts into permanent ones, and limiting the reliance on temporary workers.
After several unsuccessful rounds of bargaining and an unsuccessful court petition, hundreds of workers organized a protest in the front of the factory gate in February 2017 under the slogan, "Equal pay for equal work."
Following another demo, organized on 21 May, 3 worker representatives, from TaBNWNE and AZNU, were detained by police on 26 May.
Shui and Zenu were released, while TaBNW remained in custody on the accusation of disturbing public order.
A Volkswagen spokesperson told Frankfurter Rundschau, due to the criminal charges, there was nothing further they could do for TaBNW.
In contrast, Han Dongfeng, a labor activist and founder of China Labor Bulletin, told Frankfurter Rundschau newspaper that VW Group, IG Metal and VW Works councils could do more to support TaBNW, like visiting TaBNW in jail.
In November 2018, TaBNW was found guilty but exempted from further punishment. Volkswagen Mexico employs 15,000 workers in its main plant in Cuba.
Since 1972, VW workers are represented by the Independent Union of Volkswagen, SITIAVW, Spanish, Sindicato Independiente de Trabajadores Volkswagen.
From 1966 to 1972, the Volkswagen Union was affiliated with the undemocratic and PRI, Affiliated Confederation of Mexican Workers, CTM.
Initially, the VW Union was affiliated with CGT.
When VW Union disaffiliated from CTM in 1972, it affiliated with the Independent Workers Union, UOI, Spanish, Unión Obrera Independiente. However, by late 1970s, UOI stopped being independent and followed PRI guidelines.
SITIAVW disaffiliated and remained an independent single-factory union until 1997, when it co-founded UNT, a progressive union federation.
In 2018, SITIAVW formed a new industrial union federation for all automotive, rubber and aerospace unions. Volkswagen Slovakia employs 9,000 employees at its Bratislava and Martin plants.
Since 2016, 75% of its workers are unionized members of Modern Volkswagen Union, MOV, Slovak, Modern Odbury Volkswagen, which formed after a contentious split from the Volkswagen branch of Metal Workers Union, Slovak, OZKNOVO, affiliated with the KOZSR.
On 20 June 2017, an estimated 70% of the workforce across 3 facilities participated in the first strike ever at Volkswagen Slovakia, demanding a 16% pay raise instead of the initially proposed 9%.
After 6 days, the workers successfully achieved the 14% pay raise and ended the strikes.
Volkswagen of South Africa, VWSA, employs 6,000 workers and is a highly unionized workforce, with 80% of its workforce belonging to NUMSA, which is affiliated with COSATU and the wider Tripartite Alliance. South African Motor Assemblers and Distributors Limited, SAMA, agreed to manufacture Vito cars in Utendish, Eastern Cape for Volkswagen.
By 1956, VW acquired a controlling stake in SAMA.
In 1966, SAMA was renamed to its present name Volkswagen of South Africa.
That same year, the apartheid government enacted legislation for white-only unions.
VWSA began negotiating with white-only South African Iron, Steel and Allied Industries Union.
The International Metal Workers Federation pressured the Trade Union Council of South Africa to form parallel unions for black, colored and Indian workers.
By May 1969, half of VWSA's colored workers organized with the National Union of Motor Assembly and Rubber Workers of South Africa, New Marwoza, which was formally recognized by VWSA. While legal bargaining rights existed for white, colored, and Indian workers, none existed for black workers.
The 1973 Bantu-Labor Relations Act for black workers stipulated the creation of liaison committees on the plant level, which were limited in power.
Nonetheless, the VW Liaison Committee was dominated by future union representatives of the newly created United Automobile, Rubber, and Allied Workers Union of South Africa, UAW, the parallel union for black workers. New Barwosa and UAW eventually merged into a non-racial National Automobile and Allied Workers Union, which later merged into the modern-day NOSA. 4 years after the Soweto uprisings in 1980, black workers of UAW at VWSA engaged in their first strike action.
IG Metal and the International Metal Workers Federation raised £38,000 for strike fund and exerted pressure through VW Group on its subsidiary.
The strike lasted 3 weeks, with no layoffs, a higher hourly wage of 1.45 rands and a strengthened union, despite the fact that black unions were not legally recognized.
In September 1980, VWSA became the first company in South Africa to pay for full-time union representatives.
Shortly afterwards, the inter-solely working groups were established.
The South African Working Group was the most active.
Volkswagen Group of America, VWOA, employs 6,000 employees as of 2022.
Today it is one of the national affiliates of VW Group seats on the VW Global Works Council.
In the 1980s, United Auto Workers represented the Volkswagen Westmoreland assembly plant before its closure in 1988.
The present-day Volkswagen Chattanooga assembly plant raised international headlines over high-profile union drives that were unsuccessful in 2014 and 2019.
In 2024, VW Chattanooga workers voted overwhelmingly to unionize with the United Auto Workers. Volkswagen of America, VWOA, opened its first production plant in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania in 1976 and renamed the plant to Volkswagen Westmoreland Assembly after acquiring it from Chrysler.
VWOA immediately recognized the United Auto Workers via a card check.
For the assembly line, Volkswagen did not develop its own skill base for Westmoreland, instead bringing in workers from Detroit, Michigan.
100 workers were also brought in from Great Britain.
A pool of 40,000 people applied for jobs at Westmoreland.
No more than 20% of the workers had ever worked for an automobile manufacturer before.
The average age of workers was 24 to 26. At the time, this was considered a demographic that was independent and militant.
VWOA chose employees not by skills, but by how long they had been unemployed.
From the outset, minorities picketed the site, seeking fair treatment in the hiring process, and by its first 20 months of operation, workers had staged 6 walkouts.
In the 1992 New York Times article, the plant was described as the only transplant factory that UAW had succeeded in representing, and that the plant began with a strike and lurched from problem to problem before closing in 1988.
On October 13, 1978, 6 months after the plant opened, UAW workers staged a wildcat strike at Westmoreland for salaries equal to those received by General Motors employees.
Picketing workers chanted, "No money, no money," in reference to the Golf vehicle internally nicknamed the Rabbit.
In 1981, Westmoreland Assembly avoided a strike when it reached agreement with UAW over essentially the same issue, the disparity between wages earned at Westmoreland, where assemblers made an average of $10.76 per hour, and those at auto plants in Detroit, where General Motors and Ford assemblers made an average of $11.42 per hour. Volkswagen settled a 1983 discrimination suit with UAW to settle claims that they discriminated against black employees at Westmoreland Assembly.
Plaintiffs had sought $70 million when filing the lawsuit, charging that management had initiated or tolerated a pattern and practice of limited hiring and promotions of black people, that black workers were also subject to arbitrary firings and demotions, and that the company openly allowed racial insults and threats in the workplace.
3 days after the lawsuit was filed, a prominent black executive at the Westmoreland Assembly and spokesman for the VW Black Caucus committed suicide, bringing further notoriety to the lawsuit.
The presiding federal district judge said the case has turned into a media event.
VWOA denied the charges and later settled the case without admission of guilt in 1989, paying 800 plaintiffs $670,000 and the United Auto Workers $48,000.
On July 14, 1988, VWOA closed the plant.
The Volkswagen Chattanooga assembly plant attracted international attention in 2014 after it was proposed that employees elect the union in order to implement a works council that has co-determination, consultation and participation rights with management. United Auto Workers, UAW, attempted unsuccessfully to unionize the Chattanooga plant in 2014.
This was defeated in a 712-626 vote.
The unionization effort was backed by Volkswagen management and the IG Metal Union in Germany.
There was, however, considerable opposition from U.S. business groups and Republican politicians.
Despite a failed unionization vote at the plant, Volkswagen recognized members who have joined UAW Local 42.
After the close vote against UAW, Volkswagen announced a new policy allowing groups representing at least 15% of the workforce to participate in meetings, with higher access tiers for groups representing 30% and 45% of employees.
This prompted anti-UAW workers who opposed the first vote to form a rival union, the American Council of Employees.
In December 2014, UAW was certified as representing more than 45% of employees.
UAW again attempted to unionize the plant in June 2019.
This failed by 52 to 48% margin.
Unlike in 2014, Volkswagen management was not supportive of a union vote. In 2023, UAW won 30 to 160% salary increases at the Big Three.
Shortly after, UAW launched organizing drives at 13 non-union auto manufacturers in the South, including Volkswagen.
On 6 February 2024, UAW announced that over 50% of the 4,100 hourly workers at the plant have signed union membership cards.
On 19 April 2024, the plant's workers voted to unionize 73 to 27% margin, or 2,628 to 985.
The first collective bargaining meeting was scheduled for 19 September 2024. Volkswagen has always had a close relationship with Porsche, the Zuffenhausen-based sports car manufacturer founded in 1931 by Ferdinand Porsche, the original Volkswagen designer and Volkswagen Company co-founder. Hired by Adolf Hitler for the project.
The first Porsche car, the Porsche 64 of 1938, used many components from the Volkswagen Beetle.
The 1948 Porsche 356 continued using many Volkswagen components, including a tuned engine, gearbox and suspension. The two companies continued their collaboration in 1969 to make the VW Porsche 914 and Porsche 914-6.
The 914-6 had a six-cylinder Porsche engine, and the standard 914 had a Volkswagen engine.
Volkswagen and Porsche would collaborate again in 1976 on the Porsche 912e, the USA only, and the Porsche 924, which used many Audi components and was built at Audi's Mecarso facilities.
The 924 was originally designated for Audi.
Most Porsche 944 models were built there, although they used far fewer VW components. The Porsche Cayenne, introduced in 2002, shares its entire chassis with a Volkswagen Touareg and Audi Q7 and is built at the same Volkswagen factory in Bratislava that the other SUVs are built. In September 2005, Porsche announced it would increase its 5% stake in Volkswagen to 20% at a cost of €3 billion, with the intention that the combined stakes of Porsche and the government of Lower Saxony would ensure that any hostile takeover by foreign investors would be impossible.
Speculated suitors included Daimler Chrysler, BMW, and Renault.
In July 2006, Porsche increased their ownership again to 25.1%. On 4 March 2005, the European Commission brought an action against the Federal Republic of Germany before the European Court of Justice, claiming that the Volkswagen law, which prevents any shareholder in Volkswagen from executing more than 20% of the total voting rights in the firm, was illegally restricting the flow of capital in Europe.
On 13 February 2007, Advocate General Damaso Ruggerato Colombo submitted an opinion to the court in support of the action.
This again opened the possibility of a hostile takeover of VW, and so on 26 March of the same year Porsche took its holding of Volkswagen shares to 30.9%.
Porsche formally announced in a press statement that it did not intend to take over Volkswagen, but intended the move to avoid the competitors taking a large stake and to stop hedge funds from dismantling VW.
As expected, on 22 October 2007, the European Court of Justice ruled in agreement with Ruggerato and the law was struck down.
In October 2007, the European Court of Justice ruled that the VW law was illegal because it was protectionist.
At that time, Porsche held 31% of VW shares, although a smaller proportion of voting rights, due to the Volkswagen law, and there had been speculation that Porsche would be interested in taking over VW if the law did not stand in its way.
The court also prevented the government from appointing Volkswagen board members.
The German government then rewrote the Volkswagen law, only to be sued again.
In October 2013, the EU Court of Justice in Luxembourg ruled that the rewritten Volkswagen law complied in full with EU rules.
On 26 October 2008, Porsche revealed its plan to assume control of VW.
As of that day, it held 42.6% of Volkswagen's ordinary shares and stock options on another 31.5%.
Combined with the state of Lower Saxony's 20.1% stake, this left only 5.8% of shares on the market, mostly with index funds that could not legally sell.
Hedge funds desperate to cover their short positions forced Volkswagen stock above €1,000 per share, briefly making it the world's largest company by market capitalization on 28 October 2008.
By January 2009, Porsche had a 50.76% holding in Volkswagen AG, although the Volkswagen law prevented it from taking control of the company. On 6 May 2009, the two companies decided to join in a merger. On 13 August, Volkswagen Acting Gesellschaft Supervisory Board signed the agreement to create an integrated automotive group with Porsche led by Volkswagen.
The initial decision was for Volkswagen to take a 42.0% stake in Porsche AG by the end of 2009. And it would also see the family shareholders selling the automobile trading business of Porsche Holding Salzburg to Volkswagen.
In October 2009, however, Volkswagen announced that its percentage in Porsche would be 49.9% for a cost of €3.9 billion. The 42.0% deal would have cost €3.3 billion.
On 1 March 2011, Volkswagen had finalized the purchase of Porsche Holding Salzburg, PHS, Austria's leading specialty automobile distributor, for €3.3 billion, $4.55 billion.
In January 2020, Volkswagen was overtaken by Tesla, incorporated as the second most valuable automaker. After 24 February 2022, as a result of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine and in line with sanctions against Russia, Volkswagen, after BMW and Mercedes, ceased production at its subsidiaries in Russia, the plants in Kaluga and Nizhny Novgorod.
It also terminated all dealership agreements with Russian partners, sold all its shares, and stopped exporting models of its subsidiary Porsche to Russia.
Volkswagen has an agreement with Art Finance LLC, the financial partner of a local villain dealer, which provides for the transfer of all local VW subsidiaries to the new investor. In March 2023, the Russian court froze all Volkswagen's assets in Russia at the suit of the local automaker Gaz. We will continue about Volkswagen in part 5, so stay tuned.